Thank you all for joining us this morning. I have asked our friends from UMAC to give us some information to help inform our work in terms of preparing the recruitment grants. So we've got graduate program coordinators here ready to listen. Mark, I'm just going to turn this over to you, and you can certainly introduce your team and so forth as you go through.
All right, great. Well, thanks, Dr. Barlow, for allowing us to come to do this. I think this will be very helpful to kind of go over some of this on the front end. I know in the past we've had a little bit of issues with not being involved in the conversation from the get-go. So I think this is going to be a really good process to go ahead and get us involved in the front end, and hopefully we can definitely help you moving forward. So just some quick introductions. I'm Mark Heffington, Executive Director of Marketing and Communications. Kimberly Klotz is also on the call. She's Director of Branding and Creative Services. You'll be hearing from her later. Katrina Dupins, Director of Communications, and Jared Craig is our Digital Media Specialist. He handles all of our social media. So we're just going to jump right in. I'm going to let Jared start off and kind of talk about social media options and how to move forward with that.
Yeah, it's nice meeting everyone. I know I've worked with a few of you on your social media ads, so I'm glad I'm able to meet more coordinators. So first, I want to talk about, so why is it worth running social media ads? Well, I mean, ultimately, your organic social media posts, just the content that you're putting up on your pages, it's only going to take you so far. So the trend across all platforms is that brands are getting on users' new feeds less often, and users are engaging with pages less often. And the reason for that is users are just simply seeing more paid advertising on their feeds. So in order to stay competitive, individual programs really need to get out there through paid media. It also helps us find our most relevant users. So social ads today have some seriously smart targeting. For example, you could set up campaigns that you're only targeting a certain education level, or people with specific interests, or people living in a certain area. You can create campaigns that only target followers of UCA pages, or maybe you're trying to target another followers of another kind of page. So really, you're setting the parameters where the people who are going to benefit from your ads the most, they're the ones who are going to see your content. And then also, social media ads, they're generally cost effective if you're putting them on the right platforms. Even if you're not going to use your entire grant on social media ads, if you're just going to do a daily budget of like $10 to $20 or a total budget of $500, you can get a lot of bang of your buck in terms of your return of interest. Can I get next slide, please? So the most critical part of a successful social media campaign is just where you're putting your ads, what platforms you're choosing. And here are just a few suggestions that I recommend for a specific graduate program. So Facebook and Instagram, the collective metaverse, it's still the king of advertising. It far outpaces everything else year after year. TikTok is getting up there, but it's like a fraction of what people are spending, what brands are spending on Facebook and Instagram. The Google Display Network, it's a collection of 2 million websites and apps. If like you're going on ESPN to look at like a recap of a game and you see an ad in the middle and embedded in the article, that's part of the Google Display Network where Google's placing ads. So you're seeing those based on your interests. So for example, if you're interested in like building computers or you're interested in medicine, you're having ads targeted at you based on that interest. Or if the ad maker is trying to hit a certain demographic based on your age, your location, your gender, even your parental status, you may be seeing that ad for that reason. And I really like Google Display because it also gives us flexibility. You can have a rectangle, you can have a square, portrait. There are, at least a dozen different sizes of ads you can put up there. So it allows us to customize our ads a little more. And then also there's an option for Google banner ads. So if you're watching a video and you see a little ad pop up at the bottom corner of the video, that's a banner ad. Or if you're scrolling down and you see all the recommended videos that YouTube wants you to watch, that top one may be a sponsor card. That's another ad option you have. And then also there's Google search, and that's where you're just doing a Google browser search, and then ads targeting you based on what keywords you're using. So example, if you're searching graduate schools in Arkansas, you can have an ad that is the first thing or one of the first ones that pop up on the page. So here are just some examples of ads that we've done for you and for others in the past. So that first one on the left, that's one we did for the Digital Age Teaching and Learning Program. And it's just, you know, simple photo, tells the story well by itself, and short text. We just want to hit our audience with just very briefly. We just want to capture attention right away before they keep scrolling. And then next one is Instagram ad. And then there are just a couple other graphics that we've used for different ads. And then that bottom right ad, that's an example of a Google search ad. That's what's running right now for the university. So when you're deciding which platform to place ads, there are different factors to consider. First, think about your audience. Platforms have different strengths and weaknesses and how much information users insert into their profiles. And like simply, we use these different platforms differently. We use TikTok for one thing and then Twitter for something completely different. So Facebook is great about targeting ads based on a certain profession or education level. Many users insert where they're working, others insert, you know, what they studied, where they went to school, and what years they attended there. So we can target people based on those ads. And Google search, that can also be a good option if you're targeting a certain profession. So like, for example, if someone's Googling teaching resources, the odds are they're a teacher. So that's another way we can target a profession. So the metaverse, Facebook, Instagram, it's also good if you're targeting students from a specific school. So if you want to target UCA students, I mean, I would suggest first going to email marketing, but that can also be a good category to include on your social media campaigning. And users actively browsing schools, they're most likely doing that through Google. So Google search would be a good option there. And if you're just wanting to raise awareness, if you just want to reach a broad audience, then going through Facebook and Instagram and the Google Display Network, those would be good options. Okay, yeah, I think I covered that. So next slide. So platforms, they do have some limitations, just like I was saying, we just use them differently. So for example, TikTok, Snapchat video, or YouTube ads, like the video really needs to be engaging. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, but it really needs to be a short video that tells its story quickly. So you know, when a user sees it, they can stop and get whatever the content of the ad is, and before, you know, hoping that they can click on it before they move on. So for higher education, TikTok and Snapchat, they're just generally better if you're targeting certain age groups. I mean, for example, UCA, we use TikTok ads targeting high school students in whatever region we're targeting, regardless of their interests. It's just not as useful for our purpose if we're targeting people with certain interests, because the videos we view on TikTok, they can seem so random. So like personally, I follow a lot of like art museums because I'm just interested in how museums put their information out there on TikTok. So TikTok probably thinks I'm interested in art, but I'm not necessarily a good candidate from an MFA program. So just as an example, it's really just a platform where people go get their entertainment and not as often as information. So, and then also users, we don't include our education info on TikTok. So if you're targeting a certain age group of their interest, you may not be getting the right people. You're getting people of like various education levels and, you know, whether they're a good candidate for your program or not. So really, just in short, for our purpose, we may not be getting the best value with a TikTok or Snapchat ads. And then also, generally ads, they should just have very little text. It's important to think about like our social media viewing habits. We're just reading very quickly before we're scrolling into the next thing on our newsfeed. So that's just something to keep in mind when we're creating our ads. So for video ads, I would suggest specific programs, like not go this route because I don't think you're getting the most bang for your buck. So if you're showing a video to someone as they're scrolling on their newsfeed, you're asking that their user to stay focused long enough, watch the video before they're moving on to the next thing. And that's kind of asking a lot, as opposed to those examples I was showing earlier where you're reading a brief caption, you're just getting, the basic information you're wanting from that ad and before they're moving on. So, and also just video ads, they just work better with engaging content, video with people on cameras, just talking heads, that has limitations because often studies show that social media users stop watching videos after 8 seconds. So if any of you run social media pages and you can track when people are stopped watching a video, they're tuning out, it's usually around that 8 to 10 second mark. And then also 70%, I always point out that there's a Verizon study that showed that 70% of users don't watch video with sound. So a video with someone talking is probably not the best, the most effective ad. So really the footage would just have to be students doing hands-on work that quickly tells a story. I mean, ideally max 15 seconds. So it's just generally, I think for our purpose, for a specific program, it'd be better to go a different route, just so you're making sure you're getting the most return on your investment. So the most important question that when I'm working with you to creating ads, the most important question I'm going to ask is, what does your student need to know? So the kind of the things I want y'all to be thinking about, is your program online? Do you offer financial support? Because when I went to grad school, that my program had an assistantship that paid for everything. That was the big selling point for me. Is there faculty mentorship involved? Is there practical experience that they're going to get from their assistantship or whatever opportunities you give them? Is there going to be research and any kind of like job placement rates, or do they need to take some sort of licensure test at the end? Or and if you have good pass rates for that, that would be a good selling point. And then really for our social media altogether, that'd be a good thing for us to know. And then also, is there some aspect of this where this degree offers like very specific career advancement? Like you can enter these jobs if you get this degree. So that'll be another good thing to promote. And then just things not to include, accreditation. I think students who are just not ingrained in higher ed, like we are, assume that your program is accredited already. So that may not be the best thing to mention. And then also that just makes your ad longer, more text. And then also just generally just try to avoid industry lingo, because we generally want the ads to be more inclusive to everyone, based, they may not have the prior knowledge that on that lingo for your ads to be effective. And then lastly, I want to talk a little bit about budgeting. So our ultimate goal is to have your ad hit users at least 3 times. So where we place your ad, what daily budget we give it, how long we run it in the first place, we're going to adjust all those to achieve that goal. So really, the larger your ad, the bigger the budget you need. If you're going to think about a statewide audience or even outside of the state, you may want to use, the bulk of your grant on that. And then also, if we use a larger budget, then we can carry your ad over several months, or maybe we can hit more than one platform. That could be really effective. So when I was pointing out Google, Facebook, or whatever, we can hit all those or many of those. And then ideally, we want a daily budget of $20 to $30. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. And I mean, really, even if you don't want to dedicate a lot, you don't want to, or you can't dedicate a lot of money to your social media campaigns. I mean, really, any little bit helps. We can target a smaller ad buy to a certain location or a certain audience, and that will like really just to help awareness or keep word of mouth going. Even a small ad buy can help. And I think that's it from me. So I'll carry it on to the next person.
Hello, can everyone hear me? Is everything, I'm seeing the screen and everything, so. My name is Kimberly Klotz. We'll be going in a more analog direction after Jared's digital presentation, and talk about some non-digital ways that you may be thinking about purchasing some items or using some items. So first thing that we'll talk about is printing. I have an example here of some pieces that I have done for programs already that they've requested. One on the left is your is a program fact sheets. Now these are a little bit different than the new ones that I'm working on directly with Dr. Barlow. Those are going to be full size and have a little bit different information, but these are half size ones. So they include some information about each program, and then if we need to, we utilize the back. I think this one we utilize the back to put some more info about the program and a quote, I believe, things like that. But they're half pages, and I think that CHBS has been using these half pages for several years now, and I know some other programs too. This middle one, I believe, is a flyer that the nursing program used. And then we have over here, we have a poster size for music. You can also do other things. I know that we've done pieces that fit in a number 10 envelope. We've done several different types, and it really just depends on your enrollment funnel and how you would use a print piece. Are you going to industry conferences? Or are these put in the mail? Are they slipped into a packet with other information? I know in a couple programs you have feeder schools where that information gets sent into a packet to possibly program chairs, things like that. So it's really about looking at your specific needs and what can be done for you. As far as printing goes, we can help you work through that process. That's one of the things that my office, and Mark will talk about a little later in this presentation, is things that we already do or services that you have available to you. One of the things that my office will do is to help design these for you and gather that information, help work through copy editing and writing if need be, shooting photos for it, setting up the photo shoots, and gathering all those creative materials to get these done. I also do a training on how do you print things here at UCA. That can be a little bit trickier than people realize, depending on what you're printing, what the material is, how many. So we do certain trainings, and I'm always available for consultation. In fact, Mark will go over how we do project requests in our office, but one of the things I think is very helpful for us is to have a conversation with whoever is putting together information or thoughts about what they may need, and let us walk through with you and ask some questions of you and generally give some feedback to help direct the process. You may find that having us kind of ask questions and lead that way, we'll be able to give some feedback that will help either save money on the printing, or how you, if you're mailing things, if you're utilizing all the free resources that you have available to you now, those types of things. So if you'll go to the next slide. So the other thing that I get asked a lot about is promotional items. The far right picture is the Center for Global Engagement. That's a pull-up banner that has a metal bar at the bottom, and that rolls back down into it. And those are great for trade shows and things like that. And then I just have some, these aren't real products, so these are just samples that I made just to show you the different things. We have a lot of tablecloths, like I said, if you're going to shows, or we have all kinds of items that are available. We have a contracted vendor for the university. That's BSW Advertising Inc. out of Plumerville. And there is about I think a 9-step process to ordering promotional items. So my advice is to start early and reach out to our office. We can give you some good feedback on what that process is to make sure you're getting all the parts that you need when you need them, and you've made enough planning involved. And so we can send out, I've actually got a direction list. We have several materials that we'll be sending out after this for people, and one of those will be the directions on how to do promotional items. I'm gonna go to the.
Yep. All right.
Okay. I'm gonna hand it over to Mark now.
All right, so you may be thinking, so I have this, so how do we get started? The best place to start is our website, uca.edu/toolkit. Here you will find our guidelines, our brand portal, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, all kinds of forms, design services as Kim requested. You will find logos. Everything can be found at our toolkit site. So I encourage you to definitely start there as you're thinking about what you want to do with your marketing dollars. So our Bear Share, it's our UCA brand portal. It's a way for all of you to access all of our branding and marketing materials. That includes photographs, logos, graphics, promotional materials. Anything that you may need is there. We have a great photographer in Seth Foley and a student worker that helps him upload massive amounts of photos to this on a weekly and monthly basis. Really neat thing about this is we can actually, on the back end, we can go in and see what people are searching for. And if we see something that we may be lacking and that people are searching for, we can quickly go and add some assets to that. So the way you get to the brand portal is through My UCA. So you can go and you can search Bear Share, and you'll see there the little Bear Share brand portal tile that you click on, and that will take you to the login screen. And it's the same login that you use for your email and for My UCA and everything else here. So I definitely encourage you to look at that and kind of see what all is offered to you there. Also on our toolkit site, we have a forms drop down. So this is the place you'll go to request any kind of projects with us. So if you hover over forms, you're going to see lots of forms. Some of the ones I've highlighted here is the design project request form, email request form, photo shoot request, a social media request, and a video request. There are others there, but those are probably the ones that you're going to be using the most as you start your projects. We also offer our communication toolkit training series. And part of this is what we call our ETT training. It's our every third Thursday training. I think some of you probably have already taken advantage of these trainings, but as the name implies, it's the every third Thursday of the month. And the courses we offer as part of that will be WordPress. That's one that I teach for our website content management system. It's a 1-hour overview of kind of how to manage your website. So if you are managing a website and you haven't gone through that training, I highly suggest you do that. As Jared was talking about social media and stuff, and if you're driving traffic back to your website has to be up to date. The last thing you want to do is spend money on social ads to drive people to your website, and they get to your website and they see content from 2019 because they're going to be turned off instantly at that point. And so as you think about your social ads, always be thinking about your website as well. They really go hand in hand. As you're driving users to your content on your website, it has to be up to date. Kim teaches a Bear Share As I was talking about a while ago, she kind of goes over an overview of that, how to navigate it, downloading and excuse me, and editing the templates that are available in there. And then Jared does a social media training, just going over best practices and how the best to navigate that for your department in your area. So that kind of wraps up from us. At this point, we'll open for any questions that you may have that we can hopefully answer for you.
I have a question. So you mentioned the services for social media, we should budget $30, $40, a day for those. What of all those services, are there costs related to those, and how are those figured? How do we plan for that if we're trying to budget and make a plan for what we want to do?
There's no extra costs related to the services. So yeah, so like the money you budget for your social media advertising, that's just as is. So
But there's printing and there's other variety of things that if we want to do other things that you mentioned there on that list, how do we find out about the cost, or is it what is provided by the university as a service in terms of time and help and support, and then what are the costing for those things that are produced?
I can answer that. So our department does not operate on any cost basis as far as our services and anything that we provide. There's no fees associated with that. So what you'll be paying for is what you purchase. So if you purchase prints, you'll be paying for that. If you purchase ad dollars buys, you'll be paying for that. As far as the cost for both print and the promotional materials, so honestly, that's one of the reasons why I suggested that you guys reach out to our office or reach out to me at the beginning and just give me an idea of what you're looking at, and I can help get you a quote. I'm hesitant to give a dollar amount right now just because it can vary so wildly, but I'm happy to work that out and just give you a ballpark that you can work with on those things.
What about like video production? Are there staff that we hire for video, or again, is that just where's that cost come from?
Yeah, we have an in-house videographer that we utilize, and his services, like Kim mentioned, are just what we offer for free. But as you think about these dollars, I would really think long and hard about spending a bunch of money on video. Just as Jared kind of went over, people are really tuned out in a short period of time. So my suggestion would be to avoid any long form videos and focus more on digital ads.
What is actually provided in social media and these things from UCA versus the College of Ed or different colleges are things that we dovetail and can attach to?
yeah, so if you have something, if you like for example, if you have an event going on, you can submit a social media request and we could publicize that. And then, that would be for the main social media pages, UCA pages. And then I would just highly suggest also working with your college or department to collaborate on what you can put out in those pages as well. But really, if you go through that social media request form, that's how you can get on the main UCA pages.
And do those pages say, so we want to get the word out to high school students or people individuals just out in the general community. Does that push to them based on their interest then?
That kind of depends on the platform. So like some platforms, they don't allow us to target minors, some do. So like that would be like the TikTok, Snapchat that we target minors. But yeah, if you want a specific, for an ad, if you're wanting to hit a specific group, yeah, we can definitely work with you on that, like based on their demographics or location or whatever. But when it comes to a post or just like an organic post, we would put on our main page. I mean, it just kind of goes out to everyone. Like we'll like fine tune the language and the image or whatever to like maybe it'll appeal more to younger people or to just people in the community, but like it'll hit everyone's feeds.
Okay, thank you.
Another way we like to put stories out there is through the news site on uca.edu/news. And this doesn't cost anything, but we gather stories from, I just wanted to put a plug in for our editorial board. Every month we have a meeting where we talk to different people from different colleges and departments, also outreach and some other divisions here at UCA. And they just kind of tell us the things that are going on in their area that might make a good story. So even if it's not something that's paid for, it can sometimes people's interests are piqued when they read interesting stories from students or programs or events that are happening. So there's also a request on the, I mean, you can tell the person that's coming that's representing the graduate school, or there's a news submission form that we can put stuff out there. And that also gets shared through social media. And if it's targeting a specific person, sometimes that is, you'll get that person's associates and friends also sharing it. So more people are getting the word out that way. It's kind of grassroots and free. Just wanted to put that option out there as well.
Okay, well, our emails are here. If you think of something after this call, feel free to shoot us an email. Be sure to check out our toolkit website, click around and kind of see what all we can offer. Dr. Barlow, do you have anything you would like to say in closing?
No, just a reminder that these recruitment grants are due to Leslie George in my office on October 21st. And then we'll be reviewing those and awarding those in November. And then the one piece that I think I'd like to say out loud to everyone, and we'll remind people when they receive the awards, is that these funds have to be expended in this fiscal year. So that means as you're planning your budget and you're thinking about what you want to do with your money and so forth, be mindful that the money goes to your department and then it has to be spent before that June 30th deadline. And sometimes spending money before June 30th probably means really spending it before like May 1st. So keep that in mind. This money doesn't roll over to the next year.
That's a very good point with not waiting, especially for any promotional items.
Yes, because those take long. Yeah.
Yeah, it can get crazy, especially for Kim's area at that time of the year. So if that's the path you're wanting to go, I encourage you to do that as early as possible.
Yep.
And even with printing, Kim, you may want to chime in here, but there's just the printing stuff right now is crazy. It's the prices. For example, we put out a bid last week for a piece, and the price they gave us was good for 24 hours, and we had to make a decision within 24 hours where that price was going to change. And so still dealing with some after effects of COVID and that kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind as you're planning. Don't wait until the last minute, please,
Sure.
as you plan these projects.
I saw Valerie raised her hand. Valerie, did you have a question?
Well, I was going to ask you a question, but I could probably email it to you later. It's just, I know last year I wrote as part of the grant to help pay for faculty to do a seminar over the summer. And so if that's going to be the case, I guess we would need to make sure the seminar happens before June 30th. So that's just a clarification for me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, so if you're awarded the maximum amount, $2,500, then we take our money, $2,500, and move it to your departmental account, whatever account number the department gives us. So now it sits in the department's account, and we're done with it. We don't have anything to do with it from that point on. We being the graduate school, we're just waiting for you to send us a report one day that tells you what you did. So how it's handled at the department level and expending it and so forth, you're going to have to talk to your department chair about that. How that plays out in terms of paying a faculty member in the summer, that's not something that I do, so I don't know really all the ins and outs of that, but I would assume that work would need to be completed in the first half of the summer, so they're paid in the first half. because that money won't roll over to the next year. But I would encourage you to go ahead and have that conversation with your department chair, since that's who will have the money at that point to spend.
Thank you.
Yep, that's a good question. All right, well, UMAC folks, thank you so much. I really appreciate you all giving your time today and sharing your insights into all of this. And I know our graduate program coordinators appreciate that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having us. We definitely look forward to working with some of you. So can't wait to see how you plan to spend your dollars.
Okay. Thank y'all for joining me. I will get this recording on our YouTube channel soon and then share a link with everyone. Y'all have a good day.